when you have like satellite teams such as Forza Racing, World Racing, VDK, very much private structures using the material of bigger factories as well, with a strong technical partnership, it always makes for interesting stories when you have drivers, you know, being really put to the fore from these small structures and making their way up to the front. So here we go for the grid A versus F, as we're going to have Kjan Wadin and Alexander Dahlstrom sharing the front row of the grid. From Adria Dupé, Alp Hassan Aksoy, Enzo Tarvanishkul, Matthias Kolnagi, Joshua Graham, Gabriel Moura, Tobias Klosen, Maxence Verbrugge from Sandro Perez, Hugo Martiniello, Max Walton, Tom Calende, Guy Halbach and Toby Dvorak.
Elliot Kaczynski and Santino Panetta from Marty Rittinen and Sebastian Garzon, Leah Robinson and Matilda Pats from Kirill Kutskov all the way down the field, Alfredo Ibiapina, Timofey Mikhailov, Varis Hampus and Sasha Avril. Already been some good charges through the field. Kirill Kutskov has been going through the field like wildfire so far in these first two races of his week, and he's going to be hoping that in his third one he's going to have just as strong a performance. But it is fascinating to see just how fast the pace has been in Junior. They have 4 race rotations in OK Junior. Every driver out there has currently had 2 races, so this is everybody's third in OK Junior, with OK Senior already having 1 race each for the, well, 2 races each for the majority. There are only 2 groups that haven't had that second race, so that'll be an interesting start to proceedings tomorrow. So we're going to see some great battles from the outset here from OK Junior. Their qualifying heat for A versus F. They will come onto the main straight. It's going to be a false start. I saw that quite clearly. There's quite a lot of drivers in the middle of that field that were not still in their tram lines, not in position. It all got a little bit broken up. And so obviously Nigel Edwards, race director, making the correct decision there to send them around again.
Yeah, sometimes you wonder why they go for an extra lap, but that's the official's decision and you have to respect that, because sometimes it's just down to the pole sitter getting up to speed before the line. But this time around it was pretty obvious even for the naked eye that some of the drivers indeed were not in position, and the field was way too stretched out coming to the fast finish straight. So here we go one more time, the drivers into the hairpin, and as we briefly mentioning, we always like good stories about David against Goliath, you know, the small teams that get the big factories and they produce always very strong oppositions. We had thunderstorms this morning in the sky, but ever since we had thunderstorms on the track here in Napoli, it has been absolutely fantastic piece of racing with so many good overtakings put together by either the junior or the senior drivers.
Now, according to my timing screens, and I am looking down the field, Joshua Graham is missing, as are Guy Albag and Elliot Kaczynski, the 2 Ward Racing drivers. So, yeah, look, there is a space empty where Joshua Graham should be 7th on the grid. So what has happened to the Argenti driver? Have they missed the call to get out there? Obviously, it's a change in format, the 10-minute break, just giving a little bit of a breather. Did they miss the cutoff point to go out to the gate? That could be catastrophic, but we will get underway anyway. Off to the starting grid and into the first corner. Kian Fardin breaking through comes the second place man Dupé. Third is Tentan Vanichkul, and still in 4th place Alexander Dahlstrom, trying to work his way through on the opening lap as the whole field cuts through. Just a little bit of pushing and shoving, and there's problems. So there's a spinner further back in one of the Birol Arts. Now that is the 1:14. Is that Kutskov? It is. That is Kirill Kutskov. So his amazing work so far this weekend very much in jeopardy for Kirill Kutskov, who is now down at the back of the grid. That's very unfortunate. Fardin having to move to cover the line on the inside line of the first hairpin, as there's already pressure from Mattia Kulnagi on the back of Alexander Dahlstrom. Kirill Kutskov walking away. His race is over barely before it started, as Dupé has pressure now from Enzo Tarvanichko trying to slide out the inside. Can't get through on the Sodi kart, but Kian Fardin, having already won 1 race, would definitely love to win another.
Yeah, 2 hit winners in the top 3, and Andrea Dupé more than willing to put his name as well in the winners list. It remains to be seen. Lap number 1 completed, and 0.2 of a second splitting the 3 on the way to turn number 2. Look at the pressure on the inside. It's gonna go through for Enzo Tarvanishkul, making his bid beautifully on the Frenchman. Tarvanishkul up to 2nd and maybe up to another position if he keeps fighting.
Fardin ran wide in the lead. He had a big advantage there and it suddenly just disappeared. He ran very wide as Gabriel Mora has lost about 4 places in his Tony kart. But now Kian Fardin, look, he realises that he's going to have pressure from Tyrone Hitchcock, who dives in up the inside in the hairpin. No problem at all for Tyrone Hitchcock. That all came as a result of the wobble from Kian Fardin. Problems at the hairpin further back, I think. We've had two karts come together at the hairpin. So problems there. It's on the way into the corner rather than on the way out. So two karts in dire straits. Couldn't quite make out who it was. I think it's Mathilde Pats and Sebastian Garzon. So they have come together then on the final turn as Fardin is trying desperately to keep Andrea Dupé behind him. Tyrone Hitchcock now has a little bit of space between himself and Kian Fardin. But two drivers definitely out of the race then on that lap, and I'm afraid it is Mathilde Pats and Sebastian Garzon as Dupé tries to get through on Fardin. Fardin is protecting still, and Alexander Dahlström now has a chance to break through into the top three.
Yeah, look at that battle going on. Lap number 3 as the leader is pulling away timidly, and Zoltan Vanishkul not looking over his shoulder to see what's happening behind him on the way to the hairpin. One looking away is Kian Fardin to see where Andrea Dupé might actually be looking to go for an overtaking. Watch out as well for Mattia Colgani. You said just before the start, Jake, that you were impressed by his performance, and once again he's trying to climb as high as possible into the upper part of the ranking, and now putting pressure on Alexander Dahlström for 4th. The 183 going around the inside to the last corner, but the door was shut by Dahlström, having to defend, trying to keep an eye as well on Andrea Dupé in 3rd. Not an easy task as well to try to see double, and look at him go as well, as we have Ugo Martiniello for the back, trying to make his bid as well, trying to go for the overtaking. Martiniello, let's not forget, who faced a retirement, if I'm not mistaken, in one of his earlier races, so he needs the results. He needs to cover up for the mistakes and the unfortunate retirement of before. Taras Vanishko responding to the opposition. I'm up there, I'm the one to beat, and I put the fastest lap with no worries in the world. So there you go, as further back still the leader to the hairpin. 2nd place for Fardin, Andrea Dupé. And look at the battle going on as well, with Ugo Martinello back in the mix, putting the pressure on Matthias Kolnagi at the moment. This is a battle for 5th, as we have Alp Akshoy, Maxence Verbrugge as well, 7 and 8, trying to get themselves involved.
So Kolnagi getting through into 4th place. Martiniello and Aksoy both got through as well, much to the disappointment of Alexander Dahlström, who is now dangerously falling into the clutches of Maxence Verbrugge, who is in 8th position in the Kart Republic. They dive through to the first corner. A warning flag comes out then for the 202. So a warning flag then, that is going to be for Sacha Avril, who is cutting his way through the field quite dramatically. There is the confirmation on your screen. So the 134 battling away, Alpassan Aksoy in front of Hugo Martiniello. He's cut through and got it into 5th position. So Alpassan Aksoy, the Turkish driver, still trying to make up progress. But out in front, Enzo Timanichkul has a 2.5 seconds on Kian Fardin. This is exactly what he needs to get himself the best possible mindset going into tomorrow. As a lovely dicing move, that is going to be Moura getting through on Tom Calenda. Oh, and contact! Two karts together then. Oh dear, that is the energy course of Alexander Dahlström, and he tangles in there with Hugo Martiniello as a result of the chain reaction. So Dahlström and Martiniello, their race is over. What a shame for both men, and Dahlström devastated.
And that means another DNF for Hugo Martiniello. He was going so fast with such a strong pace in this race, and once again it all come down to 0. We're back with the leaders as they make their way into turn number 2, as Enzo Travanishkul is pulling away 1.8 seconds, so nothing to worry about for the Spanish driver. 2nd place Dupé, split by 1.2 seconds on Matthias Kolnagi in 3rd, and Kolnagi with Alp Akshoy in 4th. This will be the battle that will keep us interested certainly until the end of this race. 3rd and 4th respectively into the hairpin. Oh, beautifully made, run inside from the 179. Tom Calendar on Maxence Verbrugge, and the young Frenchman used to be competing with VDK, now with Kart Republic, still very much on his shadow. He has a bit more than a lap to try to fight back.
Yeah, this is such a good performance from Tom Calendar, of course, for the TB Racing team based in Germany. They carry the Aston Martin badge on their karts. It looks very classy indeed. But this is such a giant-killing effort from Calendar, who's still going wheel to wheel with Maxence Verbrugge as they go into the final lap. Verbrugge managed to get through on the German, but Tom Calendar really starting to prove himself out there on the course, trying to have another crack at Maxence Verbrugge. They both have the same chassis, of course, both on Kart Republics, even though they're in 2 different teams. And this is the TB Racing satellite squad from Germany going head-to-head with the Kart Republic factory effort of Maxime Verbruge. Another fastest lap from Enzo Tarvanichkul out in front, who is looking so serene out in the lead, has actually stretched well clear of Andrea Dupé. If they can continue this kind of form tomorrow for the young man from Thailand, then Enzo Tarvanichkul looking very comfortable to try and challenge for the World Championship. Then he'll be a little bit aggrieved, I guess, that he can't run the Thai flag on the podium if he does get to that tomorrow. On Sunday, sorry. But Enzo Tarvanichkul out of the final turn and continues the bandwagon rolling as Enzo Tarvanichkul bags his second victory in the bag. Good run from Enzo Tarvanichkul this week. 2 wins out of 3 so far. Andrea Dupé from Mattia Colnaghi. So good performances all the way through. And some great efforts from drivers in the pack there. But Enzo Tarvanichkul holding on to the victory with a fairly decent advantage in the end. 2 seconds flat to Andrea Dupé. It's a wonderful position for the young Thai driver who is based in Spain to be fulfilling. A great opportunity then for Enzo Tarvanichkul. And it will be a great chance for the potential world champion. You don't want to call him that too soon, but he's certainly looking pretty good at it for the moment. Running in second place in the rankings. 2 wins and a second. Makes him the second best driver on aggregated points so far this week. The only driver ahead of him at the moment is Anatoly Kavalkin, who has taken both of his heat wins so far. But he has a race coming up shortly. So that's obviously going to be up for grabs as far as Enzo Tarvanichkul is concerned. And he is actually coming out onto the circuit in the next race. Tarvanichkul from Andrea Dupé and Mattia Colnaghi then from Alpecin Aksoy. Kian Fardin and Maxime Verbruge from Tom Calenda and Gabriel Mora. Then Tobias Clausen in 9th place in front of the new Australian talent for Energy Course, Toby Dvorak. Then Santino Panetta in front of Sasha Avril, who charges up from the back. Sandro Perez in 13th in front of Varis Hampus. Then Leo Robinson in front of Timofey Mikhailov, Matti Rittunen and Max Walton in 18th position. Alfredo Ibiapina was the last driver home. We had retirements for Hugo Martiniello, Alexander Dahlström, Matilda Pat and Sebastian Garzon. We also had a retirement on the first lap from Kirill Kutskov and non-starts from Joshua Graham, Guy Albag and Elliot Kaczynski. It would not surprise me at all if those 3 had missed the start of the race due to not making it through the gate in time. So that would be disastrous for all 3, but it certainly dissipates the field a little bit there from what would have been 27 down to just the mere 23.